Welcome back to Around the Table with Stacy Smith as we're taking a look at the economy and investing. Michael, this past week we saw bond prices come down, which of course means that the yield or the interest rate goes up. And that means the cost of borrowing money, including a mortgage, climbed higher. Is this just a normal fluctuation or is it cause for concern?
Yeah, so rates have moved quite a bit, as you mentioned, Stacy, over the past couple of weeks, really because inflation appears to be much more sticky than I guess originally thought over the past few months. And it appears as if the Fed will now have to hike interest rates more this year. There was not too long ago, they thought about the market was predicting they would be cutting. So I'm not sure if it's a concern, but I'll give you my overall thoughts. And I don't want to keep sounding like I'm the resident pessimist on the show. I'm not. I often say that I get paid to worry. So I'll talk about some of the things that kind of worry me. I think we've all gotten used to interest rates being low or at least trending lower. Interest rates have been moving lower since 1980, giving us one of the longest bond bull markets on record. And that was good for investors. It was good for consumers as borrowing costs ended up plummeting, right? And to your point, Stacy, that was most evident in the mortgage market. Mortgage rates were once 15% or so in 1980, and I know people who have 2.85% on their 30-year mortgage that they got, a little more than a year ago. So when you talk about a concern, you can take a look at mortgage rates now, they're closer to 7.5%. And it's not as if home prices have come down much at all over the past year. I was looking at this over the weekend. Somebody who's looking to buy a $500,000 house today will likely see their mortgage payment increase by $1,100 per month due to the increase in rates alone. So that's going to end up impacting the consumer no matter what. And that, well, obviously, if the consumer is impacted, the economy will be impacted. I've mentioned a number of times on this program, historically speaking, it takes about 18 months or so for interest rates to work its way through the economy. Okay, we're coming up on that 18 months from that first Fed rate hike back in March of last year. And I think we're going to start feeling the impacts of those rate hikes in the back half of the year. And it is starting to play out in the data right now. Okay, well, I've seen restaurant traffic is down considerably. Credit card delinquency rates, Stacy, are back to 2008 levels. And Ken can probably talk about the fact that large banks and medium regional banks are slowing down their lending programs or slowing down their credit facilities. So is this all a concern? I'm not sure. I do think it's something that we as investors need to be very mindful of because there are a lot of headwinds out there. And I think the big increase in interest rates is one of them. But I'll end on an optimistic note because I keep going back to the very, very strong labor market we have. Because with unemployment hovering around 3.5%, to me, that's the biggest reason why, if and when a recession happens, I'm hoping that it will likely be somewhat mild given that strong employment scenario that we are currently in.
Yeah, it's really a give and take, what we've been through with interest rates going up, because raising interest rates is a mechanism to help to curb inflation for all of the things that consumers buy. But at the same time, the cost of borrowing goes up. So there are those certain purchases like your home and your car and things that you finance that consumers really, really feel the impact of as rates go up. Aside from that, the fact that rates have gone up, and in this circumstance where the Fed may need to continue, it's actually a very healthy thing to go through. It means that the economy is operating and it's strong. It's not, kind of being manipulated by some of the things that we had experienced during the pandemic, like an influx of money or, a tight supply chain. I feel now, honestly, for like the first time since the financial crisis in 2008, that our economy is really functioning like an economy and yields are doing what they're supposed to do. The market's doing what it's supposed to do. And interest rates are now at a more normalized rate. And that will enable the Fed to have more tools if we do, I should say, when we do at some point, head into a recession. And for investors who are asset allocated between stocks and bonds, their bond portfolios will now be able to do what they're supposed to do, which is to provide protection against recession.
I'm totally concur with what Kerry's trying to say. I see us going to a normal economy. For the last 10 years, we've had a grossly stimulated economy by zero interest rates, and our economy was not functioning correctly. It is now pretty much functioning correctly. I don't consider a 4% inflation rate that scary. I think that the Fed's goal of 2 is not very realistic. It's probably not going to happen without more bad, poor economic trouble like we had for the last 10 years. We had virtually no inflation and no cost of money. Now money costs something, which it should. And we should have inflation because we don't have enough workers. We have a dearth of manufacturing capacity. We've been dependent upon China to make up for that shortfall, which brought us cheap goods, and that ended several years ago, and it continues to be an issue. And that's all. That means that it's going to cost more money to do things, and I don't see the basic things of life going away. People, I mean, I don't know. I still have to make reservations to get into restaurants, whereas 2 years ago or before COVID, you could just walk in. All right. That isn't happening now. So I don't see the economy slowing down much at this point. It may. I'm more concerned about a war than I am about economics, general economics.
All right. Once again, Kim, can you wrap it up for us?
I can, and I may be opening a can of worms here, but I think this current level of interest rates in the 5-ish to 6-ish range is going to be the high point for many, many years. And I think China is going to drag us down. There are 3 big areas of the world that drive interest rates and currency effects. So that would be the US, Euro, and China. And China looks like it's not, it looks like it's caught a dose of COVID in its financial area, right? And hopefully they survive, but it looks really bad over there that they are not able to bump up what is, economic activity within the country. And it's an issue. So I'm just worried that if China is forced to lower its interest rates to drive its economy, that's going to drive the EU and the US inadvertently. Now, we're not really linked at the hip, but this is a global economy, which we did not have in the 70s, 80s, or even in the 90s to this extent.
It's funny you both brought up China, and that's what our next topic will be when we come right back.